Welcome back, everybody. Rob from Crown of Thorns with another video for you. And this is the second video in this very small series that I'm doing. Basically, I don't know what I'm going to title it exactly, but it's basically about men of influence, men who have influenced me on a spiritual level. So today's video is about Kent Hovind. Now, my first introduction to Kent Hovind was actually back in 2000, let me think, probably 2000, I get my years mixed up, so bear with me for a second. I would say the mid-2000s, I'll just say that. And I was working at a juvenile correction facility. And one of the guys that I worked with brought these videos in for the kids to watch. And they were videos by Kent Hovind. It was his creation seminar. Now, I'd never heard of Kent Hovind, didn't know him from Adam, but I was sitting there watching the video with the kids, and I was fascinated with what he was saying. He was doing this creation seminar, which was basically defending creation and disproving evolutionism. And he was going through not only using scientific evidence to disprove evolutionism, but also using the Bible. So I knew that this was a guy that was spiritually oriented, but also knew his science. And he was going through these slides. Back then you didn't have PowerPoint. He was using actual slides and showing all this evidence against evolutionism, against the Earth being billions of years old, against all this animals changing from one to the next to the next to the next, and on and on and on. And it was just great stuff. Well, after I left that job, I kind of forgot about Kent Hovind, just to be honest. But years later, probably about 10 years later, I was surfing YouTube for something, I don't remember what, and this video came up about Kent Hovind being released from prison. Now, I kind of heard and knew that he'd been sent to prison, and I'd done enough of my own research to know that he was falsely imprisoned for 9 years, something that should never have happened. But anyway, this video was, he's coming home. He's finally getting out. And so I was watching, and then I saw the very first video that he made once he got home. And from then on, I've just been watching his videos. So what has Kent Hovind done for me as far as my spiritual growth? Well, it was because of Kent Hovind that I became a King James only. Prior to Kent Hovind, I was using either an NIV or a New King James. All right, and I always thought, well, it's just easier to read. That's the common reason that most people give when they use those perversions. And that was mine too. Well, it's just easier to read. I thought that, they're all the same, just different wording, whatever else. And I was wrong. And Kent Hovind is the reason why and how I came to realize that those perversions have omitted things, have changed things, have changed doctrine. They're just horrible books, and you need to get rid of them. It was because of Kent Hovind that I became King James only. He showed and demonstrated very accurately and very precisely why the King James only. He showed how the Textus Receptus, where it originates from, Antioch, and how it has over 5,000 manuscripts, right down through history, how they all line up completely, and how the manuscripts used for the new perversions, they originate out of Alexandria, Egypt, and Egypt is always the epitome of evil in the Bible. So why would you want your Bible to come out of there? And how there's less than five manuscripts to support those perversions, and they don't even agree with each other. And he would go through the Sinaiticus and the Vaticanus and just really demonstrate the corruption that has taken place through those manuscripts that support your new perversions. It was because of Kent Hovind that I became King James only. And here's one of the verses that he pointed to. Psalm 12, verse 6. The words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. And he talked about how the King James Bible is the 7th translation in the English language. Now, Robert Breaker talks about that too, and when I would eventually discover Robert Breaker, he too is King James only, and he also showed a lot of evidence for why King James only. But for me, it started with Kent Hovind, and so I thank Kent Hovind for that, bringing me to the King James Bible. So, there was something else I wanted to touch on, and I forgot it already. How about that? So the King James only, that was where I first came to realize that this is what it was. Kent Hovind gave this excellent example of God's word preserved. All right, how God promised to preserve His word, and he used this in a context that we can all relate to. He said, "What if you live in this town, and the speed limit on this road that you live by has changed from 35 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour?" All right. Well, first they have to publish that. They have to put it in the law books. Okay, we're changing the speed limit on Main Street from 35 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour. Secondly, they have to post it. They have to put a sign up showing that the speed limit has changed. Otherwise, they can't hold you accountable if you're still doing 35. Right? They have to show that, okay, it's no longer 35. We have to put a new sign up that says 25. Great. They also have to preserve it. So if for some reason that sign falls over or somebody steals it or whatever else, again, I can't be held accountable for doing 35 or even 85 down that road if there's no posted speed limit. They have to preserve it. If that sign is gone, they have to go out there and put a new one up so that it's clearly indicated what the speed limit is on that road. The same thing is with God. He can't expect us to be held accountable for our actions if He hasn't published, posted, and preserved His word. How are we supposed to know we shouldn't kill people unless God tells us not to? Now, I think most of us have a conscience enough to where we know that we shouldn't kill other people, but still, God put us here on this earth. It's His, but in order for us to be acceptable to the Lord, He has to tell us how. He has to give us the means in which to do so. He has to preserve His word, and He has done so, and that is in the King James Bible. So I thank Kent Hovind for that. The other thing that Kent Hovind played a key role in was my understanding and my coming to believe and know that the Bible teaches eternal salvation. I talked about this in a previous video. I was under the understanding that my salvation was based also on what I do. I have to be a good person. I have to make sure I do this and don't do that kind of stuff. And I felt that, if I wasn't doing my part, I could lose my salvation. It was thanks to Kent Hovind, in part, that I came to believe rightfully that the Bible does teach eternal salvation. So those are the two key components that I can think of right now that Kent Hovind influenced my spiritual growth in. The King James Bible and eternal salvation. Now, the other part that he played a big role in is spiritual, but also scientific. And I talked about this before in this video. He is the go-to person for the creation versus evolutionism debate. He is that guy, all right? If you want to see the creation argument, you want to see the creation evidence for a young earth, for evolution not being real, all of that kind of stuff, Kent Hovind is your go-to guy. Now there's other people that do it as well, and they do it very well, but Kent Hovind for me is that guy. He's the OG, if you will, and he's been doing it a long time. And if you watch his videos, every so often he'll talk about how he got into this whole thing. It was almost a fluke how he got into this ministry that he now has. But I've ordered a lot of books and videos from Kent Hovind. I really have. Typically dealing with the creation versus evolutionism, but also even videos about the King James only, about eternal salvation, about the end times, And that's where I differ with Kent Hovind. I'll just put that out there. Kent Hovind switched his position from a pre-trib rapture to a post-trib, pre-wrath rapture. I do not agree with that. I do not. I believe that the Bible clearly teaches a pre-trib rapture. Paul believed in a pre-trib rapture. He did. All right. So, but his other teachings on the end times are very good. About the mark of the beast, and the one world government, that the NWO system, all of that stuff. Kent Hovind has been teaching on that for a very long time. The age of the earth, that's a big one for me. The Bible clearly teaches a young earth, a literal 6-day creation. And Kent Hovind has been the guy that has been leading the charge on that for a very long time. Now, this is something else that I bought from Kent Hovind, and you can go to his website, drdino.com, to get this kind of stuff. But you can see here, textbooks teach that it took millions of years for the Grand Canyon to form, and he shows this evidence of, it would have happened in a matter of days thanks to Noah's flood. He's got all kinds of good information on this, but this is the side that I use the most. This is the evidence for a young earth. And you use this chart, and I'm trying to make sure that it's in there so you guys can see it too. It's starting with Adam, and it shows how long each one of these guys lived. Adam, Seth, Enos, right on down. You get to Noah, and here's where the flood is. And you notice that as soon as you get past this flood line, the ages start dropping off. They're not living quite as long. Something changed. Well, thanks to Kent Hovind, that's where I came to understand the whole canopy, the firmament. All right? And how when that canopy, that firmament was broken due to the flood, that's when things started to change. More UV rays were starting to get through. We were aging a lot faster. We weren't living as long. And there's other changes as well, but I'm just summarizing. But you can use this chart, and it takes you all the way down here to Joseph. And Joseph lived to be 100 years old. But you add up these dates, and where the Bible leaves off, you pick up with secular history. You add that all up, and you come up to an earth that's approximately almost 6,000 years old. So again, I thank Kent Hovind for his contributions in this, creation versus evolutionism debate. And speaking of debates, you can go on to his channel, or if you go to a channel called Standing for Truth, he's on there quite often. He debates these evolutionists all the time, and he just knocks them out. It's like he's Mike Tyson and they're everyone else, or he's Hulk Hogan and they're all the other guys. He's like that guy, the world champion, so to speak, and he just demolishes these guys in these debates. But you can also go and watch. He does a Bible study video every night. And like I said, there's a few things I don't agree with Kent Hovind, particularly with the end time stuff, his position on when the rapture is going to take place. But all of the rest of it, when he goes through and he does a study on, say, the book of Jeremiah or whatever, and he's going down through it, he is spot on. He is very well read, very adept at explaining the Bible and how everything points to Christ. And like I said, he's King James only, eternal salvation by faith alone. He's spot on. Now, I don't know his position on dispensations, so I don't know if I've never heard, at least in the videos I've watched, any sort of mixing of dispensations where it seemed like there was going to be a contradiction or anything. So I haven't heard anything like that, but so I would say that his teachings are spot on, other than, like I said, the whole rapture thing. But Kent Hovind has been a huge influence for me, for spiritual growth. And my wife and I have gone to his Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama, twice. I've gone 3 times. My wife, I might have that wrong. I think I've gone 3 times. My wife was with me 2 times. And we're going to go again. He's got a fabulous indoor museum that you can go through with all sorts of exhibits, evidence for a young earth, evidence for creation. And then there's the outside tour, which is great. You get on these side-by-sides, and it's a huge property that they have. I think he said it's 100 acres or right around there. And there's all these lakes and ponds, and he takes you on this tour, and he shows you stuff, and there's a spiritual and a scientific application to all the things that he shows you. They've got basically a farm there, so if you love animals, which my wife and I, we love animals. There's there's the llamas. Yeah, is there a llama? I think there's a llama, but there's the emus, cows, and pigs, and chickens, and all kinds of stuff. They've got a big tortoise named Turbo, yeah. And just, there's so much stuff to do there, and it's free. If you want to take your kids on a vacation to a theme park where they're actually going to learn some real science and have fun and get a spiritual application all in one, and it'll cost you $0, Dinosaur Adventureland is the place to go. Lenox, Alabama. It'll cost you nothing. They have all these beautiful cabins that they've built, and you can stay there at DAL overnight, or for 2 nights or 3 nights, whatever, for free. They put you up in a nice cabin. They provide your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, it won't cost you anything. They run entirely off donations and off, the sales of Kent Hovind's materials like this, and his videos and books. You won't find a better deal, ever. So I wholeheartedly stand behind Dinosaur Adventureland. What Kent Hovind is trying to do, like I said, there's that one thing about the rapture that I don't agree with. But, we can split hairs over that. It's not a doctrinal issue that's going to affect somebody's salvation. So for me, it's not a real big deal. I do think it's important to know when the rapture is going to come. That's why I do videos on that. And like I said, I don't agree with his position on that. But it's not going to affect anyone's salvation. If he believes in a post-trib, pre-wrath rapture, and I believe in a pre-trib rapture, neither one of those is a means to salvation anyway. Salvation is by trusting on the blood of Christ, trusting on the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Kent Hovind teaches that. He teaches about the triune God. He teaches, that Jesus is God, that the Holy Spirit is God, that there's God the Father. He's doctrinally sound. So I wholeheartedly stand behind and would endorse, so to speak, Kent Hovind and Dinosaur Adventureland. You really need to go there. It's in Lenox, Alabama, southern Alabama. Lenox is like basically a non-existent town. I don't think there's even a post office. It's just kind of there. So it's in the middle of nowhere, but I tell you, beautiful piece of property that they have. All these exhibits and the outside tour and the animals and just, they've got playground equipment and stuff. And man, there's all these cool scientific experiments, hands-on stuff. So you don't just have to stand and not touch and be behind glass, whatever else. I mean, you can get you get involved with it. And Kent's a great guy, very friendly, very accommodating. All the staff people that work there are very friendly, very kind. I can't say enough good things about it. Again, the rapture thing we disagree on. That's all right. But other than that, I would say it's a good place to go. So this is a relatively short video, but also relatively short video series that I've done. The previous video, I talked about Robert Breaker and all the things that he taught me concerning the Bible. And I wanted to do this video on Kent Hovind as well, how he helped in my spiritual growth. Excuse me. Both of them have been a godsend. They've both been a blessing to me and to my wife. And I can't say enough good things about them. I highly recommend, I encourage you to go to both of their YouTube channels. Robert Breaker, thecloudchurch.org is his website. And then for Kent Hovind, drdino.com, and he's also got a YouTube channel. I recommend both of those channels to you. There's my phone going off again, sorry. And just go and check their stuff out. And if you get a chance, visit Dinosaur Adventureland. All right, guys, that's all I've got. That's all I've got for you in this video. But questions or comments, leave them below. You guys take care, and God bless.